Hey everybody, Dr. Dabney here, and we're talking about sexual intimacy this month. I brought back an old popular video on this topic in that I talked about ways to increase sexual intimacy. In the last two videos, I talked about the top ways we sabotage sexual intimacy. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the third most popular way people sabotage their sexual intimacy, and that is, no surprise here, looking for intimacy outside the relationship. Of course, we're talking about affairs here, but also there's some other ways that people look for intimacy outside the relationship. For instance, people who have businesses often get very involved with their workers. Not sexual, but they sort of, they talk about them like their family. They get very involved in all their other problems, all beyond just giving them a paycheck. Also, the girls' night out, boys' night out in excessive amounts can be other ways that people get intimacy outside the relationship. But that, of course, is a nuclear bomb approach to this problem. As you imagine, of course, it sets the trust way back, and trust in a sexual relationship is a key component. So you end up having to not only build the trust back up, but then work on your sexual intimacy. So it is a very extreme solution. People often ask me why people do this. The top reasons I see are: one, the person who has the affair is typically quite submissive and overly accommodating in relationship. They don't know how to use their constructive aggression to get resentments resolved as they move through their relationship. I have to work with these couples on not only helping that sort of passive person with their constructive aggression, but also oftentimes the other person takes it very personally, and they get very angry about having hearing that the person's unhappy with something that they did. They almost hear like they are being scolded or chastised, or see it as some type of fault, instead of just seeing it as a subjective viewpoint and something that can be dealt with. So I have to work with those couples on those issues. Another common reason I see for this is something in the family of origin. Typically, if the person who had the affair grew up in a family where there was an affair that they found out about one of the parents having, which is of course an awful thing for a child, because they can't effectively deal with their emotions about the person who cheated because they're afraid the person's going to leave. A parent who cheats and lets their kid know is sort of saying, well, if you upset me, I'm going to leave. They have to bury that feeling. They also get have a lot of negative feelings towards the person who was cheated on. Well, how did you let this happen? And why didn't you resolve this? Why didn't you fix this before driving him or her away? So they'll have a lot of negative feelings about these parents. Kids really, just don't have the capacity to deal with that effectively, and it comes right into the marriage. And as soon as the wife shows any kind of similar behavior, they, come all dumped on them. Lastly, I also see when someone has an affair, their family of origin, sometimes there's a sibling who was acting out a lot, and the parents didn't handle it well. What ends up happening is the parents, again, sort of let the child who had the affair know that they aren't handling it well, and bring them into it and praise them for being good, almost like you have to be good because we can't handle this person. So it's it's the black sheep syndrome. The child who has the problems that gets blamed for everything, and there again, the good sibling can't effectively cope with all the negative feelings that the parents aren't handling as well, and they just join the parents in blaming the child. So they bring that into their marriage, and same thing. If somehow now the spouse isn't giving them the attention they needed and they lost in childhood, they'll, again, the nuclear approach all gets put on that spouse. So those are the top reasons I see people taking that very extreme approach. And of course, like I said, we have to work a lot on building back the trust in order to get back to the original problem, which is lack of intimacy. So if you have any questions, concerns, or problems with this topic, we are here. Please call us 757-340-8800.